America. This is not the country lifestyle you used to know. Deep in the heart of our timber and pristine pastures, a biological time bomb is ticking. It all started back in the 1500s when Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto brought domestic swine to our shores as livestock. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and wealthy hunters introduced the aggressive Eurasian wild boar for sport. No one predicted what happened next. These two species crossbred, creating a highly intelligent, razor-fanged super-invader. In 1982, they were contained to just 17 southern states. Today, they have invaded over 35 states, marching straight toward the Canadian border. With females breeding at just 6 months old and doubling their numbers every few months, our homeland is under siege. This is a war for our heritage, our farms, and our future. If you care about protecting the American landscape and uncovering the truth about our greatest ecological threats, hit that subscribe button right now and join our community. I am your host, Wayne Miller, and this is the untold story of the wild hog invasion. The damage isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet or some distant problem you can look past. If you talk to any farmer in Georgia, Texas, or the Carolinas, they will tell you that this is an everyday nightmare unfolding right outside their bedroom windows. Feral hogs are built like tanks, and they treat the American heartland like a personal demolition derby. The primary weapon of this super-invader is its snout. These animals practice a behavior known as rooting, where they use their incredibly dense, muscular snouts and razor-sharp tusks to bulldoze the earth. They don't just eat the crops, they systematically destroy the very structure of the soil. They dig feet into the ground to rip out the root systems of America's most critical agricultural staples, including corn, soybeans, and peanuts. A field that a family spent months planting and thousands of dollars maintaining can be reduced to a cratered wasteland in a single night. To make matters worse, these beasts possess an uncanny ability to wreck farm infrastructure. A standard barbed wire fence, meant to keep cattle in, is absolutely no match for a 300-pound boar with a bad attitude. They slam their bodies through boundary lines, leaving gaping holes that allow livestock to escape and predators to enter. Once they break into a field, they don't stop at the crops. They target the lifeblood of modern farming, which is the irrigation infrastructure. Hogs will intentionally dig up and trample underground PVC pipes, crush automated sprinkler heads, and rip apart drip irrigation lines just to create mud wallows or find a quick drink. For a family farmer, waking up to a shattered irrigation system during a hot, dry spell is an absolute financial catastrophe. When you scale this destruction up across the entire nation, the economic toll is staggering. The United States Department of Agriculture estimates that feral swine inflict between $1.5 billion and $2.5 billion in damages every single year to the United States economy. That massive figure accounts for lost crop yields, ruined equipment, and the immense cost of constant infrastructure repairs. This is an economic drain that directly impacts the American food supply chain and drives up prices at the grocery store for everyday working families. Before we dig deeper into how these creatures are threatening our native wildlife, where are you watching this video from? Please tell us your country or city in the comments, and let's explore together. The devastation crosses far beyond the borders of commercial farmland and spills directly into America's most fragile ecosystems. A prime example of this ecological crisis can be found on North Island, a remote and vital stretch of coastline in South Carolina. This island serves as a critical nesting ground for loggerhead sea turtles, a species that is already fiercely protected and facing a steep uphill battle for survival. Every year, these magnificent sea turtles drag themselves up onto the sandy beaches to lay their eggs, burying them deep in the dunes to protect the next generation. Unfortunately, the keen sense of smell possessed by feral hogs has turned these pristine nesting beaches into an easy buffet line. Wild hogs can detect the scent of a buried turtle nest from great distances. Once they locate a spot, they use their powerful hooves and snouts to excavate the nests, crushing and devouring the eggs. In one single devastating nesting season, biologists documented that feral hogs wiped out nearly 90% of all sea turtle nests on North Island. This level of apex predation by an invasive species completely shatters the local marine ecosystem. By destroying almost an entire generation of hatchlings before they even have a chance to touch the ocean, these hogs are single-handedly pushing an endangered American species closer to the brink of extinction. The wake of destruction left by these animals is not just a threat to our wallets and our wildlife, it is a direct assault on American history itself. As these massive populations push deeper into rural areas, they have begun invading sacred grounds. Hogs do not respect boundaries, and they certainly do not respect the dead. Across the American South and Midwest, feral swine are actively rooting through historic rural cemeteries. Many of these are small, family-owned plots dating back to the 1800s, holding the remains of early American pioneers and veterans. The hogs dig up the sod, topple historic headstones, and disturb the grave sites, leaving families devastated by the desecration of their ancestral resting places. Even further back in our collective history, these animals are systematically erasing the physical remnants of the first Americans. Feral hogs frequently target ancient Native American archaeological sites and sacred burial mounds. Because these ancient earthworks often contain rich organic material and unique soil profiles, they attract the hogs like magnets. As the herds plow through these irreplaceable locations, they churn the artifacts, shatter ancient pottery shards, and compromise the integrity of the soil layers that archaeologists use to piece together the past. Once a historical site is rooted by a sounder of wild hogs, that piece of the American heritage is fractured forever, leaving us with missing chapters of a story we can never recover. Beyond the immediate destruction of our crops and heritage, there is a much darker, invisible threat lurking within these herds. Wild hogs are not just physical wrecking balls, they are literal walking biohazards. Biologists refer to them as mobile disease reservoirs, and for good reason. A single feral hog can carry over 30 different viral and bacterial pathogens, along with 37 distinct species of parasites. For anyone raising livestock or living in rural communities, this is a ticking biological time bomb that threatens to cripple American ranching. Consider a disease like swine brucellosis. This highly contagious bacterial infection is a rancher's worst nightmare. When wild hogs mingle with domestic cattle or commercial swine across pasture fences, the disease spreads rapidly. In livestock, brucellosis causes severe reproductive failure, leading to spontaneous abortions in pregnant cows and sows. This directly translates to lost calf crops and devastating financial hits for ranchers who survive on slim annual margins. But it does not stop with animals. Brucellosis is a zoonotic disease, meaning it can jump directly to humans. If a hunter handles a carcass with an open cut on their hand, or if someone consumes undercooked wild game, they can contract this debilitating illness, which causes severe flu-like symptoms, high fevers, and long-term joint pain. Then there is pseudorabies, often called PRV. Despite the name, it is not actual rabies, but it is just as deadly for local wildlife and domestic pets. Wild hogs carry this virus with relative ease, but when it spreads to other mammals, the results are catastrophic. If a loyal hunting dog or a local predator, like a panther or a bear, comes into contact with an infected hog, the virus attacks their central nervous system. It causes extreme, uncontrollable itching, leading animals to literally tear at their own skin until they perish. For ranchers and hunters, watching a prized working dog succumb to pseudorabies is a heartbreaking reality of this wildlife crisis. But the absolute doomsday scenario for American agriculture is African swine fever, known simply as ASF. While ASF is not currently established in the United States, the massive, unchecked population of feral hogs makes the country incredibly vulnerable. This virus is nearly 100% fatal to pigs and spreads like wildfire. If ASF ever finds its way into the wild hog population, containing it would be virtually impossible. From the wilderness, it would inevitably breach the biosecurity walls of commercial hog farms. The moment a single case of African swine fever is confirmed on American soil, our multi-billion-dollar pork export industry would shut down overnight. International markets would immediately ban American pork products to protect their own herds. The economic fallout would bankrupt thousands of multi-generational family farms and trigger a massive crisis throughout the entire United States food supply chain. The biological threat spreads far beyond direct contact, contaminating the very elements that sustain life. Hogs have a natural biological need to cool down because they lack functional sweat glands. To lower their body temperature, they engage in a behavior called wallowing, which means they deliberately seek out creeks, ponds, and freshwater springs to roll around in the mud. As dozens of heavy hogs pack into a small stream, their hooves fiercely tear up the banks, causing massive soil erosion and turning pristine, crystal-clear waters into thick, muddy sloughs. As they wallow, they defecate and urinate directly into the water supply. This introduces massive amounts of dangerous bacteria, specifically E. coli and Salmonella, into critical watersheds. These contaminated streams do not just sit in the woods, they flow directly into public water sources and major agricultural irrigation networks. When contaminated water is pumped out to irrigate neighboring fields of leafy greens, fruits, and vegetables, it creates a massive public health hazard. We have all seen the terrifying news headlines about nationwide recalls on lettuce or spinach due to sudden bacterial outbreaks. In many cases, the hidden culprit behind that poisoned produce is a herd of feral hogs wallowing upstream from an American farm. As these populations swell out of control, the crisis is moving out of the backcountry and directly into the path of everyday commuters. Feral hogs are increasingly moving toward major roadways and expanding suburban neighborhoods. This has led to a terrifying spike in severe motor vehicle accidents. A mature wild boar can easily weigh over 300 pounds, and their bodies are built low to the ground, packed with dense muscle and bone. Hitting a 300-pound hog at 65 miles per hour on a dark, unlit rural highway is the equivalent of striking a solid block of concrete. Unlike deer, which often jump and hit the windshield, a hog low centers a vehicle, completely obliterating the front bumper, deploying airbags, and causing vehicles to lose control, roll over, or veer into oncoming traffic. These collisions result in millions of dollars in property damage and, tragically, take the lives of American drivers every year. With their numbers booming, these animals are also losing their natural fear of humans. Sounders of hogs are now regularly breaching the borders of suburban neighborhoods in states like Florida and Texas. Residents wake up to find their manicured suburban lawns completely plowed under, turning quiet neighborhoods into muddy war zones. Even more concerning is the direct threat to public safety. Feral hogs can be incredibly aggressive, especially a protective mother sow with her piglets or a mature boar cornered in a backyard. They have begun attacking family pets, mauling dogs right in their own yards, and cornering terrified homeowners on their porches. What used to be a remote wildlife management issue has transformed into a pressing public safety crisis, proving that no one is truly safe from the reach of this aggressive invasion. Facing an enemy this smart, adaptive, and destructive means traditional hunting methods just do not cut it anymore. Walking into the woods with a standard rifle might take out one or two hogs, but it leaves the rest of the herd scattered, hyper-alert, and even harder to catch. To truly get a handle on this crisis, wildlife officials and landowners have had to completely change the game. We are talking about a full-scale, tech-driven war, that utilizes everything from high-tech military-grade surveillance to aviation assets. We have had to match the sheer evolutionary brilliance of these animals with cutting-edge American innovation and tactical precision. The most aggressive and visually striking front in this war takes place high above the ground. In vast, wide-open landscapes across states like Texas and Louisiana, ground tracking is a losing battle. The brush is too thick, the territory is too massive, and the hogs move too fast. That is where aerial gunning comes into play. Wildlife management agencies and authorized private contractors deploy low-flying helicopters packed with highly trained marksmen. These shooters are equipped with heavy-caliber, semi-automatic firearms specifically designed to handle large, thick-skinned targets. When a helicopter spots a sounder, which is what we call a cohesive family herd of wild hogs, the pilot maneuvers the aircraft to push the animals into open fields or dried-up marshlands. Once the hogs are out in the open, the marksman goes to work. This method allows teams to eliminate entire herds of 20, 30, or 40 hogs in a matter of minutes. It is fast, highly efficient, and it is honestly the only viable way to rapidly knock down massive population spikes across hundreds of thousands of acres of open ranch land before the animals can retreat back into the safety of the deep timber. But as effective as helicopters are, they cannot fly everywhere, and they cannot hunt 24 hours a day. Furthermore, feral hogs are incredibly intelligent creatures. If a herd survives an aerial attack, they quickly learn to associate the sound of a chopper engine with extreme danger. They will alter their behavior completely, abandoning open fields during daylight hours and becoming entirely nocturnal, hiding under the thickest forest canopy they can find. To counter this psychological shift, technicians have developed revolutionary smart trapping systems that turn the Internet of Things into a weapon for conservation. Traditional corral traps used to rely on a simple mechanical tripwire. A hog would walk into the pen, bump a wire, and the gate would slam shut. The problem is that only the first 1 or 2 hogs would trigger the wire, leaving the remaining 10 or 15 family members standing safely outside. Those remaining hogs would watch their companions get captured, learn exactly what a trap looks like, and pass that knowledge down to their offspring, creating a generation of completely trap-shy animals. Modern smart traps completely eliminate this human error. These massive circular steel structures are integrated with high-definition, live streaming cellular cameras and remote-controlled gate mechanisms. A wildlife technician can sit comfortably in their living room miles away, holding a smartphone, and watch a live video feed of the trap in real time. The technician will watch the hogs enter the trap over the course of hours, patiently waiting as the animals eat the bait. They will not touch that trigger button until every single member of the sounder, especially the cautious older matriarch sow, is securely inside the perimeter. Once the entire herd is accounted for, the operator taps a button on their phone screen, sending a signal via cell towers that instantly drops the heavy steel gate. This ensures a 100% capture rate, leaving 0 survivors behind to learn from the experience. Of course, this advanced cellular setup requires a reliable network connection, which is something you rarely find in the deep, swampy bayous or isolated mountain wilderness where these hogs frequently thrive. For those rugged off-grid locations, engineers developed the Brilliant Boar Blanket system. This is a massive, heavy-duty drop net system that can be suspended high up in the tree canopy over a heavily baited area. Instead of relying on a cell signal to drop a gate, the boar blanket utilizes localized radio frequencies or independent automated sensor matrices that trigger the drop only when a specific, sustained weight threshold is met under the net. When the trap fires, the heavy netting falls silently from above, completely enveloping the entire herd simultaneously. The weight and design of the net pin the animals to the ground, preventing them from scattering into the brush and allowing eradication teams to hike in and clean out the area efficiently. Yet, even with helicopters and remote-controlled traps, There are always a few rogue, deeply elusive hogs that manage to evade every single trap we set. These are the survivors, the ghosts of the forest that refuse to step into a corral or show their faces in an open field. To track down these final holdouts, scientists turned the natural social instincts of the hogs against them through a highly sophisticated rule of engagement known as the Judas Pig strategy. The process is a masterpiece of biological tracking. Field agents will use a specialized trap to capture a live, mature feral sow from a local area. Instead of euthanizing her, technicians transport her to a mobile veterinary unit. There, she is safely anesthetized, completely spayed to ensure she can never contribute to the population boom, and fitted with a rugged, heavy-duty GPS tracking collar wrapped in bright, neon-reflective material. Once she recovers from the procedure, she is released right back into the wilderness where she was found. Because feral hogs are intensely social pack animals by nature, a lone hog cannot stand to be isolated for long. As soon as she is back on her feet, this Judas Pig will immediately begin using her incredibly sharp sense of smell and hearing to track down any other wild hogs hiding out in the surrounding county. She wants a family, so she will wander through the thickest briars and the deepest swamps until she successfully locates an uncharted, hidden sounder and integrates herself into their ranks. Miles away in an office, Wildlife Services specialists closely monitor the satellite radar data radiating from her collar. They watch her digital breadcrumbs move across the map until the signal settles into a tight, consistent cluster deep in the woods, indicating she has found a new family. Once the coordinates are locked in, a tactical ground team or an aerial gunning crew is dispatched directly to that exact spot. The eradication team moves in and eliminates every single wild hog in that newly discovered herd, but they intentionally spare the life of the collared female. Left alone once again, the confused Judas Pig will shake herself off and immediately begin walking the wilderness to find the next hidden group of survivors. She repeats this cycle over and over again, completely unaware that she is a walking beacon of destruction, leading authorities to the very last strongholds of her species, providing the ultimate cleanup weapon in this relentless fight to reclaim the American landscape. This fight proves that looking after the land is a duty we all share. We cannot fix this alone through uncoordinated, rogue hunting. When you shoot blindly and take out just one hog, the rest of the sounder grows smarter, goes completely nocturnal, and evades future traps. True strength lies in working together. By partnering with the USDA APHIS program and using the Squeal on Pigs hotline, we protect our neighbors, our food supply, and our American heritage. If you stand with us to preserve this great landscape, please drop a comment below with your thoughts, hit that subscribe button, and join our community. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.